I'm going to talk to you guys today about shooting events. What type of shots you're going to need, how to go upon it, perfect scheduling, everything along the lines of mastering the event video. Now, I've shot over probably 2,000 events. I want to say somewhere between 1,600 and 2,000 events, just based on my NAS system, how much footage that I have and all the dates that I've recorded. Sometimes I used to shoot events 3 nights on New Year's Eve. I would do an event from like 8 to 11, shoot New Year's Eve from like 11 to 2 or 11 to 3, and then do one from like 4 to 8 a.m. That's Miami for you though. Miami is the center of event culture, and ultimately, if you're doing some type of video or photo production work here, events are big money, and it's how you get into making a name for yourself, you know, meeting a lot of the right people, and events are really the base of all connection, in my opinion, of at least a social scene and networking factor that can allow you to expand your production company with meeting the right people at these high-end events. I'm going to take you through an Aston Martin event here today. This is a certain type of event, so it's, you know, it's not like a party, or I'm not referring to weddings when I say events. When I say events, I'm meaning more along the lines of, you know, like a cocktail mixer or an Art Basel party, or I'm referring to maybe like an Aston Martin shoot that's an event recap video. It's not a production-based Aston Martin shoot where we would be, you know, setting up grips and gaffers and having PAs and all that stuff. This is me, my photographer, working through an event recap that happens to be for Aston Martin. So I'm going to take you through some of the types of shots that I got, like establishing shots, drone shots, there's action shots, signage, all different multi-layer factors that go into producing the right type of event. And when revisions come back to you, understanding that you need additional shots to provide revisions for the client. You want to be able to give them everything that they need without having like a major problem in post-production and saying, hey, I don't have any of those type of shots. That's your worst case scenario. So let's talk today about how to avoid all that. In the next video, I'm going to show you my kits for all the different types of events that I go to, because every different event has a different type of kit and setup. So that'll be in the next video. That'll be too much for this one. This one, we're going to go strictly on getting the certain types of shots, different types of events, and making sure that you execute at 100% every single time. All right, so let's go through and watch the edit first I ended up making. I did have to change a few shots because of some discrepancies with the client. I didn't want to include a certain type of couple shots, so it's not exactly that the final product was delivered, but it is very similar. All right, so that was the edit, and now let's get into the breakdown, kind of the outlay of how everything went down. First, we really started setting up in the back room, getting all of the gear organized. Here's me with Frank, and he's going to be the one doing all of the photos today. We had a specific shot list for photo and video. It was about 100 photo deliverables, and our video deliverable was 45 seconds. So we had to make it in there. Here's the Inspire 3 along with our Sony Alpha cameras and our film Contax N1. So I always like to bring the drones and kind of be able to provide that extra client layer. Certain types of events, you can't always fly the drone, but having drone is always a great markup. And if you're able to include that type of skill set, whether it's just a Mavic 3 or a Mavic 4 even, having the drone is such an imperative thing as a filmmaker. And if you don't have one, you can always start with something smaller like a DJI Mini. But right now, it's definitely important to have a drone, especially when you're operating from a freelance perspective in events. We're not working on sets, right? So you can't, it's not like you're being hired directly as a DP or as a director. You're being hired as a videographer, quote unquote, to shoot and edit all of your content. So if you're able to upcharge with drone, let's say $500 to $1,000, that's a major plus. It doesn't cost you anything extra besides owning that equipment and having insurance on it as well. So it's always important to make sure that you have insurance on drones, especially when you're flying, liability purposes and everything that comes along with flying drones. So let's get into it. We're going to start with establishing shots, and it's always important for any event that you're filming to have establishing shots. It kind of sets the tone. It lets the viewer know where it is, and it lets people understand like the entire magnitude and mood of the situation. Instead of on the ground, I end up using my Inspire 3 here, and I capture a great kind of swooping motion of the event campus logo where the event is being held. Okay, so establishing shots are always super important. I also went and did more drone shots in the same similar type of manner. So let's say you're at a house party or an Art Basel event, you need to showcase the location. Make sure you get everything outside the perimeter, maybe before you step in, or depending on what time you arrive. If something's going on in that exact moment, capture that first, but never leave an event without establishing shots. Clients are going to want to showcase the venue that they chose and the specific location, whether it's in Miami or New York, wherever it is. Your event establishing shots have to let the viewers know where the location is. Let's get into details, because establishing shots are easy. Anyone can do those. They're just imperative to have. Details are the fundamental component of your video. Okay, you need to have detailed shots, and producers and vendors want to see what they spent their money on in the video. So you may not have spent, $15,000 doing branding, but the event producers did. And you need to have great detail shots of that type of signage and of anything that you're shooting. In this case, it's cars. So I'll take you through a couple of the detail shots here. Everything is kind of slow. I shot this all in 60 frames on FX3, stabilized. These are my version of detail shots. The thing is with detail shots, you want to make sure that your gimbal is properly balanced and calibrated, because they're so finite that you're going to see any jitters. You're going to see all the shakes. So make sure that you're very steady, you're smooth, maybe you're shooting in 60 or 120, and you're getting these detail shots on macro, or you're able to kind of capture close up with a 70 millimeter from a distance, right? People putting on wristbands, the cars, the engine start button, along those lines. You're only here once, right? This isn't going to exist tomorrow, like in terms of any event. This is just an example. So you want to make sure that you have everything. Make sure you get the signage, where the money was spent from your clients, that you're able to encompass, oh yeah, we do have shots of the gift bags, we do have shots of the books and of the entryways and such along those lines. You're going to want to capture the event in a lively manner. People want to be excited when they want to watch your video, and so you're going to have to really indulge them with the action and the presence of what was going on. Let's say you're shooting, a circus show. The action shots would be the people dancing. In this case, it's all about the cars, on track moments, and along those lines. So action shots for me are when the cars are moving, and when I'm able to kind of capture premise of inside, interior, exterior, finite details of the eyes, people getting into the cars. With cars, it's always a little bit more difficult because shooting in slow motion makes everything not look as good with cars. You gotta really shoot in live time in 23, 976, just to make it look good. Okay, let's talk about the drone again. Without the drone, in this particular instance, this video would be non-existent. The drone is super important here, and it really showcases the ability of my skills not only, but the type of product that my team and I are able to procure in such a short amount of time. This gives us a whole new wide variety of shots and really allows us to spread our scope, showcase different types of movements and everything that comes along with this type of filming. Without the drone, we would have had no on-track shots, which would have been a major loss, essentially. So I'm going to show you here a little screen recording of the DJI controller so you can see what I was looking at. This is a really cool feature of the RC Plus with the Inspire 3. I believe you can also do this with Mavic 3 and Mavic 4's screen record, but this is also a great way to have behind the scenes footage. I also asked him to help me dual op for a second here because the Inspire 3 really is a two-man show. Flying as a solo operator is above and beyond skill set, but there are certain AI features that are built in now that kind of help the solo operator. They don't fully replace a second op, but they are able to really help in the assistance. I go ahead and change the lens, and then we move on to some more drone shots. This kind of goes on for the next hour or two. I'll show you a couple behind the scenes shots of the drone here. Most of them are really beautiful. I shot these in ProRes RAW. I'm not the best color grader, but you are able to see just the type of production that this drone delivers. And when we're working on something, it's really, really finite. This is all in 8K 23:976. Certain shots are 18 millimeters, and you can see there's some pinning around the edge, some vignetting. That's because of the variable ND filter that we're using. I do not recommend using variable NDs on any type of drone. I kind of learned that lesson here as this was a new kit feature that I had added. And yes, I will never use variable NDs again on drones. That is just the simple magnitude of the situation. Now the beauty of the Inspire 3 is that I can follow the cars very easily because it's a fast drone, and that's why I brought it to this particular shoot. It really allows me to keep up with the cars and everything that's going on, either as a solo operator or as a dual operator. The type of shots you will get really will vary depending on skill level. This is a piece of equipment that even if you own but are not proficient in controlling this type of drone and this type of equipment will render you useless, essentially, if you do not have the proper skill set. So it's also absolute overkill. This is a massive event in that type of style. If you're shooting something on a smaller end, Inspire 3 would be way too much. Mavic 3, Mavic Mini would do you just perfect. This is a very exaggerated example of what we're getting into right now with drones. With that being said, I'm going to take you through another example here of a project that was already completed in 2022 with Adidas. And this is a run and gun type of event, very similar. One other assistant video, one main photographer. You're going to see what I'm referencing, how to capture the branding, the action, the details, the signage, everything along those lines within one 30-second clip here. We captured the artist painting, the activations that were going on. Pusha T was the main act, so those are our action shots. Details of well as Pusha T, and then the video wraps. It's that quick. But do you notice how it covered all of those bases that we talked about within 30 seconds? Let's look at another example here. This is a F1 event in Miami. You have all types of details of things going on, the sponsors that are involved, the champagne bottles, the cars are our action shots, the DJ shots, details of the food, activations, the announcers speaking, you know, people viewing the event, the transportation that was included. This was also cut very specifically as well because I couldn't show certain moments of the event, so that's a little why it's staggered a bit. But that's another great example. Here we have a music festival. I start off the video really strong. We have drone. I do a directed, scripted intro for this event. Much larger scale again. Not something you just show up to single-handedly. A little bit of VFX involved. But right away we get into signage, details, people walking in, a little bit of action shots, some mood type of events, everything's slow motion. The drone really seals the deal on everything. And it kind of goes from day to night as a transition of the entire event. Let's look at another one. This is an event at a nightclub. So I started off strong. We do the main action shots. I'm including all of the sponsors, shots of girls, where the event is being held at Store in Miami, which closed about 3-4 years ago, maybe even longer, maybe like 5 years ago now. But slow motion, capturing the vibe, capturing the energy, keeping the edit alive the entire time is really the premise of what we are going for when we say event recap videos. Let's take a look at pre-pricks. This is an investor type of event. So this is when a client hires you to show up and do an investor video. They're going to use this video to pitch additional investors for the following year. So they need you to come and kind of produce that. Not so much as like a hype type of video. This is a video where they want to see ROI on their return. Inspire 2, drone shots, details, and then we start with the infographics about everything going on. The Inspire 2 again really carries this entire video on its back. Signage of the attendees, like different type of branding of everything that was going on as well. Super important, you know. This is what clients want to see. And they ended up loving this video. This was perfect for their investors. It achieved everything that they needed, and you will now be able to do the same. In the next video, we're going to talk about kits, what type of kits that you're going to need for certain type of events depending on the scale, depending on the magnitude. I'm going to show you my kit for larger events and my kit for smaller events. Stay tuned. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.